So today we got a question from a bro that goes, Yo, Elliott, how would you go about finding your purpose when you found faith in Christ and you want to align that with your life purpose? Great question, man. And I'm going to begin by just talking about this idea of having a purpose because it's so instrumental to masculinity. We go into this world with nothing. We arrive here with nothing, and then we're thrown out there after receiving all kinds of municipal education, both from schools, our parents, music, movies, media, and so forth, filled with all this content, all these ideas, all these ideals, all these beliefs, bunch of shit that don't even belong to us. And then we're asked to go and find our purpose. And what that ends up usually looking like is we try to find, first of all, it depends on the generations previous to even to mine, look for a job. Well, you got a purpose, you're going to look for a job. So your job's going to be your purpose. And then it's about finding a woman. Well, now you got a woman and she's your purpose. You make children, you got a family, now that's your purpose. So in a lot of ways, we hanker for this purpose, we search for this purpose, but the purpose has been laid on us. Like you've been told what your purpose is. And so that has been the case for many generations, right up until about my generation. I'm Gen X, right? And when I got to college, we were introduced to the internet for the first time. Wow. There's this wide world of more stuff, more ideas, more confusion, more chaos, more shit out there that now we get to mix into this pot where we're supposed to pick out our purpose. And then you have social media, right? Like with your generation, where we are right now, right? We've got a whole generation, my kids included, that grew up not just with the internet, but social media. And now we see other people and their purposes. And it looks like somebody's got their purpose. I see this guy, looks like he's on purpose. He's making a lot of money. He's got good looking girls. He's got a great looking body. Man, that guy must be on purpose. And so we go from having a purpose that our parents told us, the school told us, the music, movies, media told us, to now having purposes that are being pumped into our brain from all of the people that we see on social media. What the fuck is our purpose? How do you find a purpose? What is your purpose? And then you come here with me, and now I'm going to give you more information, more ideas, more content about your fucking purpose. I tell you, none of it is true. All of it is garbage. The only purpose, as we'll see, is with you. So we're talking about purpose, but then you bring in this new thing. I found faith. I found religion. I found Jesus Christ. And now I got to figure out how to make that a part of my purpose. All this purpose stuff going on. Maybe you have sort of a path in life right now that's unfolding fairly congenially, doing well. You're feeling good about yourself. But now you got to read the Bible and you got to spread the message and you got to go to church and you got to live the Christian life. And a lot of people will add that to their purpose, or they'll try to blend it in with their purpose, or they'll ignore everything, throw everything away, and then their purpose becomes Christ. What do you do? Now, your question is unique in that, well, it's not unique, it's one of these three. One of these three. And yours sounds a lot like, well, how do you go about finding your purpose? But then you say, but once you found faith, how do you align that with your purpose? Listen, dude, there are a lot of guys out there, myself included, that have done the holy hustle. The holy hustle is where you now become a Christian, right? You discover Jesus Christ, and you're either going to become an evangelist, and you're going to be obnoxious, and you're going to get out there, and your purpose is to make everybody do what you do and believe in your theological values. right? That's what a lot of us end up doing. Not everybody has the psychopathic ability to do the door-to-door knocking on people's heads, trying to get them to do what you want them to do. But like, you got dudes that are like that. They hold up the signs. They introduce themselves in the street and ask you, have you given your life to Christ, right? Or you got your friends, right? Maybe it's not strangers running into you in the street, holding up signs and telling you that if you don't accept Jesus Christ, that you're going to die the death of 1,000 deaths. But now we got to get our friends on board, right? And so part of my purpose now becomes, I got to get my friends to be Christian. I got to get my parents to be Christian, right? And if you're anything like me, where you've got an audience, where your path in life has revealed that you're a content creator or something like that, now you got to throw everything out the way and you got to do what Jesus Christ says and dedicate your content to this newfound path of Christianity. Either you're going to create a new thing, or you, like I did when I first reverted to the faith, I just started making a whole bunch of videos talking about Jesus Christ. And I even created a catechesis channel where I thought I was so wise that I'm going to teach everybody about what they should think about Jesus Christ. Holy fucking hustlers. Ha! It's all holy hustle, and it is just as neurotic, it is just as backwards as the hustle culture that we are now starting to like cringe about. When we take spirituality and we use entrepreneurial and world conquering concepts in order to purvey it, I think we're trying to play one game with two different paddles. They're incompatible. They're incompatible. They don't work together. And it's coming from a guy that's told you exactly that I've done this exact thing. And I see it all the time too, and I'll tell you why I know it's incompatible. Say, for example, like I met this guy not too long ago, a couple of years ago, in fact, and he was a pastor. He was a pastor. But this guy's life was horrendous. It was a wreck. He was stressed out all the time because he's got to pastor the people. He's got to take care of the people. This is what a lot of Protestants do. This is namely a Protestant thing. Catholics and traditionals have their problems too. But Protestants in particular have an entrepreneurial attitude about Christianity. So what they end up doing is planting churches. Right? I'm going to plant a church. I'm going to start my own church. They start their own church, and then they got to build their own congregation. And if they're savvy enough, they realize they got to build a board of directors, and you're building a fucking business. You're building a business, a holy hustle business. And then every Sunday, you got to get out there and, well, you got to do your preaching, but you got to get people out there to bring people in for your preaching. So you got to do a whole bunch of marketing. And then when they come in, your preaching's not good enough. You got to get the volunteers to smile and to bring them in and to show them around. Give them a good time, entertain them. Say, stay because they're having fun. And so they keep paying because he planted a church. So it can go from one extreme to where now you're just bugging your friends or you're feeling guilty because you haven't converted enough people, to holy hustle where you're like Joel Osteen, making it big for Jesus. It's all a mind fuck, man. It's all a waste of time. And if anything, it moves you further away from Christ. Let's talk about Christ here for a moment, because that's a big part of what our conversation is. And the funniest thing I discovered is that Jesus Christ has no purpose. We run around here with a whole bunch of purposes, but did you know that Jesus had no purpose? No purpose. He did not come here trying to chase his purpose, find his purpose. He was purposeless. Purposeless. Elliott, how could you say that? How can I say that? It's because it's what he said. Let me show you, because I think there's a lot of confusion about what we're really called to. And if, as some people propose, we're called to do what Jesus do. Right? They used to have these bracelets. It was very popular a couple of years ago. What would Jesus do? What would Jesus do? Well, let's see. What did Jesus do? Because I know a lot of you guys you're probably thinking right now, Elliott's lost his mind. How could you say that Jesus Christ got no purpose? Well, from his words, John 4:36, he says, "My food is to do the will of him who sent me and to accomplish his work." It sounds like Jesus is talking about somebody else. His job is to do what he who sent me to do and accomplish his works. It doesn't sound like it's a man with a purpose. It sounds like a man who's doing something that he was shown, something that he was given. He's got an assignment, not a purpose. He goes on, he says, "The Father is working until now, and I am working." Jesus identifies his work with the ongoing work of the Father. He's not doing his work. He's not looking for his purpose. He didn't have to go look for his purpose. His purpose was right in front of him. The Son can do nothing of his own accord, but only what he sees his Father doing. For whatever the Father does, that the Son does likewise. If we're to live our lives like Christ, then why are we running around trying to figure out what we're supposed to do in order to find our purpose and to blend our purpose with doing what Jesus Christ, doing the Jesus dance, doing the holy hustle, when Jesus here literally says, the works that the Father has given me to accomplish, the very works that I'm doing, bear witness about me that the Father has sent me. This is the best one. This is John 3:6-38, right? "For I have come down from heaven not to do my own will, but the will of him who sent me." Here's some advice that he gives us, John 9:4. "We must do the works of him who sent me while it is day. Night is coming and no one will be able to work." Jesus is inviting us to do what the Father sent him to do. So now I'm making it all more confusing, right? I'm over here Bible bumping and giving you all this information, all these quotes from Jesus Christ. And then I'm telling you that he had no purpose. But if you listen closely, it's very clear that he doesn't do anything of his own will. He says it right there. It's not my will. The best one, the one that I really like the most. "The works of the Father gave me I have come down from heaven not to do my own will, but the will of him who sent me." If we're supposed to do what Jesus do, then what's required is to step in his shoes and to do what the Father is giving you. Boom. So Elliott, what do I do? How does that look? Because I know that's where we go. We always go there. We always go to the mind and the body, right? Meaning like, okay, well, now I got to make a plan, Elliott, right? Jesus said, don't make any fucking plans. I got to make a plan. I got to make a plan, right? I got to plan how I'm going to do my purpose. I'm going to plan how I'm going to make this purpose fit into the purpose that I made up about what Jesus is telling me to do. But Jesus is not telling you to do any of that shit. Jesus is talking to you right now. The Father is speaking to you through Christ inside you right now, but you can't hear it because you're too busy doing what everybody else is doing. I'm going to plant a church. I'm going to make a YouTube videos. Right? You're going to do all this holy hustling, and you're going to miss what the Father is telling you to do. And it's funny because we see this story, one of my favorite stories in the gospel. That reiterates exactly what I'm saying. It nails what I'm talking to you about right now. It's the story of Martha and Mary. You ready for some Bible time with Uncle E? You want to hear the story of Martha and Mary? I'm going to botch it, but I'll do my best to give you the point. Jesus goes to his buddy's house, and his buddy's got two daughters. His daughters are very helpful young ladies. And one of them, Martha, is serving. Martha is cooking. Martha's cleaning. She's making sure Jesus is comfortable. She's doing all the things that she believes she needs to do to make sure that she is a good host and that her guest is well taken care of. Very smart, very good. She's a good woman. I'd marry her. Well, her name ain't Mary. Her name's Martha. Martha's running around. You know what Mary's doing? Mary's chilling. She's literally sitting at his feet and looking at him. Right? You just imagine like the star-stuck young daughter who's just like sitting there looking up at Jesus. Oh. And the other one who's running around like, oh, we got to make sure that everything's taken care of. And you'd look from the outside and you say, there's nothing wrong going on. You know, one is doing this stuff on the outside and one's sitting down at the feet of Christ. But the first daughter, Martha, like all us holy fucking hustlers, running around, gets frustrated. Because you can get frustrated. The guy that I was telling you about who's a pastor, his life is all kinds of frustrated. All kind of frustrations in his life because he's running around doing very good things. I know myself. I already gave myself as an example. I'm not talking to you guys like a guy that doesn't know or is just preaching. I ain't preaching. I'm telling you from my own wisdom, my own experience. I've been a Martha. And I've got frustrated trying to do the holy hustle. And Martha, at some point in the story, gets so frustrated that she's running around trying to do stuff and her sister's just hanging out. And she says, Jesus. She tries to command Christ. She says, Jesus, tell my sister get up off her ass and help me out. You see, I'm trying to make things good for you here. And Jesus turned around and looked at Martha and says, Martha, Martha, you're doing many very good things. He acknowledges her, right? You're doing the holy hustle. Yeah, you're running around, you make yourself crazy. But you just came at me a little rough. Now, Martha, your sister Mary is doing the best thing. Now, it may make you think like, well, what the fuck? Martha's running around doing all the real things. Mary's literally just sitting there. But Jesus Christ admonishes the holy hustler and points to the meditator and says, Mary is doing the best thing. She's sitting right here, quietly, silently, listening to me. And it will not be taken away from her. So get your shit together, Martha. Such a strange story because we live our lives as Marthas. We all live our lives as Marthas. You trying to find your purpose. Now, you found Jesus Christ and you're trying to wrap him up into your purpose. And yet Jesus Christ is saying, Mary, who's just sitting here hanging out with me, is doing the best thing. We got it all wrong. Jesus Christ doesn't even have a purpose, as we pointed out. What Jesus Christ does is he waits, he sits, he listens, he is passively receiving his day-to-day activity, day-to-day thing, day-to-day purpose. You have a day-to-day purpose. You don't have a grand purpose. You don't know your grand purpose. My dad is kind of a low-key genius. And one day he came in and we're talking about this kind of concept of purpose. And my dad is he's adamant that he has no purpose. He says, I have no purpose. And when we were having this conversation a couple of years ago, I didn't really understand what he was saying. He said, I have no purpose. What do you mean, Daddy? How you have no purpose? Like, his life is good. He's got a nice life. And he's always working. My dad's always working. He says, I have no purpose. He says, I didn't even bring myself here. I didn't even make myself come here. So the only thing that I know I got to do is what's in front of me. And if I have a purpose, it's his purpose. The only purpose is God's purpose. There is only one power in this world. When we think ourselves into some bullshit purpose like Martha, or we allow our passion to drag us into some adventure that is not consistent with the divine will, with divine providence, with the action of God, because we're not listening, we're sinning. That is the ultimate sin. You hear sin, people talk about sin, the first thing they think is like murder, rape, and drug addiction. But the real sin is worshiping creation, And you're a creation. And you're worshiping your own ideas about what you're supposed to do. That's what we all do. I get it, dude. But we allow our bodies and we let our minds distract us from what's real for you. And the only way you'll know how do you know what's real for you? That's the real question now, right? Because that's where we go. Now I'm going to pick up where I left off, right? Because the question was, Elliott, then what do I do? What do I do now, Elliott? These are great ideas. What do I do? You do what's in front of you. That's it. If you want to know God's plan for you, if you want to know God's purpose for you, if you want to know God's will for you, you've got to abandon your own thoughts and your own bullshit, even questions. Every question is born out of a fear. You got to let go of your fears. You got to let go of the fears that rise from your body, and you got to let go of the fears that cause your mind to race. And sit silently, still and receptive to the workings of God, the Father. Like Jesus Christ says, I don't know why I'm here. I'm just here to do the will of my Father. That's literally what my daddy, I don't want to get words confused father with father, but my dad is saying. He says, I have no purpose. I have no purpose or will of my own. It's God's purpose, his plan. Only he knows. I'd be dead and gone way before there's any understanding of what God was trying to do with me, you, or any of us. That's the part of the problem. You will never know God's purpose for you. But God is giving you instructions every moment of every single day when you do what's in front of you. These guys who, like holy hustler pastors I'm talking about just a moment ago, who are out there trying to evangelize and plant churches, but yet your wife is suffering at home, right? She gets none of your love. And so now she's looking at the pool boy. Oh, how does that happen? You're a pastor. Jesus Christ. You're a good man. Why is your wife cheating on you? Why are your kids disrespecting you? Why are you overweight? Why are you obese? Why are you fat? Why are you depressed? Why is your house a mess? Why haven't you made your bed? These are all the things that God actually asks us to do. It's very simple. And that's the problem, dude. The problem is that it's very simple. He's not asking us for any grandiose purpose of our own mental design. He's saying, do what's in front of you and you will be mine. Even the life of Jesus Christ, the life of Jesus Christ, Jesus, Joseph, and Mary. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, the Holy Family. If you look at what we know about them in their life and their story, it's actually very humble and boring. The only time in the gospel when we learn about Jesus, Mary, and Joseph that we get an indication as to something divine, something extraordinary happening, is when they listen to what God just said to them. Mary, what? You're going to have a baby. Huh? How is that possible? I don't know a man. Don't worry, Mary. The Holy Spirit will guide you. So even when you're given like that, what greater purpose for a human creation, a human being to have than to be the vessel, to be the, what do they call it in the Old Testament? The vessel that holds God. I don't remember, right? But what greater thing than to put your own flesh, your own DNA, your own blood into the soul of God incarnate. Add it to the soul of God incarnate. She had the greatest of all purposes, but yet she was so humble and she only did what was in front of her. She just said yes. That's all God requires of us, is a yes. And if he finds an empty vessel that's willing to say yes, he's going to give you exploit and adventure and grace after grace after grace after grace. But as long as you're chasing it, you're going to miss it. So my man, I'm going to wrap this up by saying have no purpose. Have no purpose. I have no purpose. It's taken me 47 years to actually understand that. Something that my father understood, maybe from his experience, and that Jesus Christ demonstrates and admonishes. Have no purpose. Be in stillness. Be a vessel. Say yes. Fiat voluntas tua. Let your will be done in me. And as far as I'm concerned, there is no me. There's only you. And I got to get out of the way to allow him, his grace, his love, his life to shine through. Done.